he said, "Reporting as ordered, sir." Hunter Liggett returned the salute. He was a jowly man in his mid-60s with a penetrating stare and a white Kaiser Bill mustache waxed to a pointed perfection. "At ease, Lieutenant Colonel. Sit down. Make yourself comfortable." "Thank you, sir." Dowling eased his bulk down into a chair. "What are we going to do with you?" Liggett said. It had to be a rhetorical question. The answer surely already lay there on his desk. He went on. "You've seen a lot these past few years, haven't you? By now, I suspect you could handle just about anything. Couldn't you, Lieutenant Colonel?" Dowling didn't like the sound of that. "I hope so, sir," he answered cautiously. Maybe he wouldn't get a walk in the park after all. What have you got in mind?" "Everyone is very pleased with your performance in Canada," General Liggett said. "The Assistant Secretary of War, Mr. Thomas, spoke highly of you in his report to President Sinclair. He wrote that you did your best to make a difficult and unpleasant situation go more smoothly. Any time a soldier wins praise from the present administration, he must have done very well indeed." "Thank you, sir." Dowling remembered that Liggett had become Chief of the General Staff during the present Socialist administration, replacing General Leonard Wood. That made him watch his tongue. "I'm glad Mr. Thomas was pleased. I didn't really do that much. Mostly I just sat there and kept my mouth shut." N. Mattoon Thomas had come up to Winnipeg to force General Custer into retirement. Custer hadn't wanted to go. Custer never wanted to do anything anyone told him to do, and he thoroughly despised the Socialists. But they'd held the high cards, and he hadn't. "Well, whatever you did say, Mr. Thomas liked it," Liggett said. "He wrote of your tact and your discretion and your good sense. Said if you were a diplomat instead of a soldier, you'd make a splendid ambassador." Liggett chuckled. "Damn me to hell if you're not blushing." "I'm flattered, sir." Dowling was also embarrassed. Like a lot of fat men, he flushed easily, and he knew it. General Liggett went on. "And it just so happens that we have a post where a man with such talents would be very useful indeed." "Does it? Do you?" Dowling said, and Liggett gave him a genial nod. Dowling had a fair notion of where such a post might be. Hoping he was wrong, he asked, "What have you got in mind, sir?" "Sure enough," Liggett said, "I've had to relieve Colonel Sorensen as military governor of Salt Lake City. He's an able officer, Sorensen is, don't get me wrong, but he turned out to be a little too unbending for the position. By President Sinclair's orders, we are trying to bring Utah back towards being a normal state in the Union once more. A tactful, diplomatic officer running things in Salt Lake could do us a lot of good there." "I see," Dowling said slowly. "The only trouble is, sir, I'm not sure I think Utah ought to be a normal state in the Union once more." The Mormons in Utah had caused trouble during the Second Mexican War back at the start of the 1880s, as a result of which the U.S. Army had landed on them with both feet. Then, in 1915, perhaps aided and abetted by the Confederates and the British from Canada, they'd risen in open rebellion. The Army had had to crush them one town at a time, and had made a peace only in the Tacitian sense of the word, leaving desert behind it. "Between you and me, in the four walls of my office, Lieutenant Colonel, I'm not sure I think so either," Liggett answered. "But the Army doesn't make policy. That's the President's job. All we do is carry it out. And so, would you like to be the next military governor of Salt Lake City?" Maybe I should have been a nasty son of a bitch when I was working for Custer, Dowling thought, but he said what he had to say. "Yes, sir." After a moment he added, "If I'm being diplomatic." "Yes?" Liggett asked. "Well, sir, wouldn't you say the good people of Salt Lake City might see it as an insult to them if a full colonel were replaced by a lieutenant colonel?" Dowling said, "Couldn't it lead them to believe the United States Army finds them less important than it once did?" Amusement glinted in Liggett's eyes. "And how do you propose to make sure the good